when we discuss politics, let's not begin with personal opinions stated as facts. Let us rather begin with the truth and use that as a base for taking a tangent into the realm of opinion. First, I support Senator Barack Obama for president because I've got 2 children whom I hope will inherit the earth God intended them to inherit and not the one that will become without environmental protection. Senator McCain voted 4 times against incentives for clean energy, voted against the public's right to know about toxic pollution in our rivers and streams, and voted to make taxpayers rather than polluters pick up the tab for cleaning up the worst toxic dump sites. Source 1. Republican President T. Roosevelt, whom I'll reference several times, was an adamant conservationist. He fostered the formation of the United States Forest Service and was an advocate for the conservation movement, which is still alive today and is endorsed by the National Rifle Association. To those of you in the NRA that are following suit in their endorsement of Senator McCain, I must direct this question. Where do you plan to hunt after America's wilderness has been made unsafe for human exposure? Next, and most adamantly, we'll discuss the fuel and energy crisis, which in this case is tied directly to economic recovery. First, I'll reference President T. Roosevelt, the trust buster of the early 1900s, again. Was it not this great Republican whose famous square deal advocated limiting the authority of the corporation to set its own prices in order to provide within reasonable limits government regulation to provide just and reasonable prices for the American consumer? Where's our square deal today? How is it that we invaded a country that produces oil and the cost of oil for Americans went up? If I want to make a music video and you have a studio in your basement and I invade your house, how much money do you think I'm going to spend on studio time tonight? There was certainly no square deal in G.W. Bush's pocket, and I don't think it's in Senator McCain's either. Senator McCain is planning $4 billion in tax breaks for big oil. Source 2. There are about 305.2 million people in the U.S. How many of us will benefit from $4 billion in corporate tax breaks? What's square about that? Obama has an energy plan that contributes to economic recovery and environmental issues. His plan includes a $500 tax rebate for every tax-paying American to help with rising energy costs. Senator Obama also plans to use clean, renewable, homegrown sources of energy so that the American dollar can spend a little bit more time in America, allowing it to mature before we send it overseas. This homegrown energy will be created on American soil, creating 5 million jobs that cannot be outsourced to foreign lands. This creation of new jobs to combat environmental challenges parallels the creation of new jobs to combat the Axis powers of World War II, which is how President T. Roosevelt's cousin, F.D. Roosevelt, bought the U.S. out of the Great Depression. It's thanks to FDR's famous New Deal that we have the Federal Deposit Insurance Commission, the Federal Housing Administration, the Social Security System, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and Fannie Mae. Wow, this really sounds like somebody who wants to keep the poor impoverished. My next support for Obama involves health care. Former President Theodore Roosevelt, who served from 1901 to 1909, who was a Republican and is ranked as one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history, source 4, was the first U.S. president to call for universal health care and national health insurance. Republicans have been sour against universal health care since Teddy split with the Republican Party in 1912. Republicans have been sour regarding almost everything that Teddy Roosevelt had advocated ever since his split with the Republican Party in 1912. This was 96 years ago, people. Can't you let it go? Good ideas are good ideas regardless of the source from whence they came. Republicans have perpetuated this hate of Teddy's plans for so long that modern young Republicans don't even know why they dislike some of these good ideas. It is being said that Barack Obama is a socialist. I challenge the individual saying this to cite a date and time when Senator Obama has denounced capitalism. In the video that I'm responding to, it is said that Christ wanted to take our burdens, whereas Obama wants to lay more upon us. I didn't agree with that, but even if it were true, why should the job of our divine Savior fall upon a politician? I'm certain that some liberals have said that Down syndrome children should be aborted in utero, but I'm certain that some conservatives have said the same thing. What about stem cell research? Do you still persist that we shouldn't use what could become a human for science? Does the FDA not have the authority to authorize testing on actual humans? So I guess it's okay to test on a human, but not a pre-human. Now, let's go beyond Democrat and Republican. Every American president since John Adams has pushed the limits of what government should and shouldn't be allowed to do, and what powers the president should and shouldn't have. This is nothing new. They've all done it. Not because they were power hungry, not because they were corrupt, but because they believed that they knew what was best and they acted upon it. I wouldn't want a leader that sees a solution and refuses to act based upon getting permission from others. Obama will push that limit, and so will McCain. So what? That's the nature of the office. Republicans, how dare you say that Obama wants to squash the constitutional rights while your party is standing in the shadow of the Patriot Act? Spying on American citizens without probable cause is now legal? Do you know that dozens upon dozens of Americans have been prosecuted for activities that had nothing to do with national security after having been discovered due to the Patriot Act? Should they have been doing something illegal? Absolutely not. But why is it that any other agency would have had to go through due process, but the federal government got to skip a few steps? Ladies and gentlemen, come on. The truth is simple here, and we can all tell that it's time for a change. This country needs a change, and it's time for a change that we can all believe in, regardless of race, color, religion, disability, or anything like that. This nation needs Barack Obama. The time is right, and the time is now. McCain would have made a great choice for president 8 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. But in 2008, Senator Barack Obama is the one we need for this job.